The absolute cadence has changed dramatically in the past couple of years for me personally, from going from this kind of very rigid, anchored quarterly process to a much more fluid, dynamic, reactive process now, which I think is much more beneficial for my stakeholders as well in the business.
Krista and Jonathan, you were both nodding furiously. It's almost like real-time, always-on forecasting. Is that the way it's going?
Yeah, it's continuous forecasting. I mean, to me, and the biggest component of that, it has to be driver based. And so to really understand your key drivers so that you can be very specific and do rate versus volume type of analytics on what's happening and understand what the impact is going to be on the P&L on a real time basis. But we are in a continuous forecasting model.
Yeah, absolutely. We run basically live forecasting. So we've got sufficiently strong sales infrastructure that the forecasting there can feed and does feed a live dashboard, which is tremendous. Maybe it leads to people over analyzing and watching it. I think the more rigorous monthly and quarterly reviews still have a very important place, particularly as you look forward and take the bigger decisions about planning directions and investment commitments. But understanding how the business is doing in the very short term is tremendously important. And modern systems, IT infrastructure enables you to do that.
I would add with the continuous forecasting is the need or the requirement of a gatekeeper, basically, because what I find sometimes is a little bit of alignment internally of, oh, what forecast are we comparing to now? What's this? What's that? Kind of panic of, oh, I haven't seen these numbers. I think you need that kind of that rigor and that gatekeeper to make it effective.
Which is why I like that sort of that periodic review. So we do at a certain level, we do it weekly with the leadership team, and then monthly, quarterly, building up to the big strategic planning and budgeting processes. And the other thing that maybe we're at risk at losing sometimes with automation is the degree of insight. And I think it's just what gets monitored gets managed. It's also, if you've got data being reported, if you can have people analyzing it and scrutinizing it, you then get more insight and you get the ability to drive behaviors. Now, maybe the AI can start complementing that, maybe even taking some of it over. But at the end of the day, I still think that scrutiny that involves the human decision-making on top of the basic data and analytics is incredibly important. And I wouldn't want to lose that as a result of driving greater efficiency in the automation.
It's the scoreboard analogy, isn't it? It's, if you kind of keep looking at the scoreboard too much, you're not actually taking the action to change it. I think with the tools that we have now, it's much more easy to do that rhythm and that cadence of continuous forecasting. I think maybe a number of years ago we didn't have that, but some of the planning tools now are very adept at doing the heavy lift, so to speak.
And it'll depend a little bit on your industry and what specific function you're monitoring. What is your reaction time? How quickly can you change? I mean, if you're developing a new jet engine, you don't really need to have a daily update. Whereas if you're selling something with very immediate short-term targets, and you can change channels or make short-term decisions on how you market and how you drive it, then monitoring it more quickly so you have the ability to react in time is obviously then relevant.
Yeah, I think it's about leveraging the tools that we have, because if it's very light touch from a person manipulation perspective, we have a lot of predictive analytical tools. They have to be trained, but they do predict a lot for us. And so then the actual manual input or person input is very low. It leaves more time for analytics and understanding of what we need to do differently. But I think that level of agility and adaptability is important in today's business.